Well, hello, YouTubers. Just look at the bark on this. Been drying out for some time. It's a fairly straight stick. But I'm going to be stripping the bark completely down, finishing this stick today. And the thing about it is, it's all going to be done inside the shop with hardly any dust created. You wait till you see this, see how I do this and what I'm using, and you'll probably want to pick on up. It's this tool here. I can strip this down in no time without making a lot of dust. Dust mask really not necessary. So let's get started and we'll see what this looks like start to finish. And I have an idea here with something I haven't done before. Anyway, let's stay tuned. Let's see what this one looks like. I'm going to be starting here with this aggressive grinder. Stop that going into here. And we'll turn this on and get started. So let's readjust the camera down here where you can see how this works. And here we go. Now that I got the bark off, 4.5-inch grinder, then I changed to this 120 grit sandpaper on my angle grinder, and we're going to knock the rest of this off and then polish it down with an orbital sander. I want to show you a little step that I usually don't take time to show. Upside down, this is the bottom part of the stick. And I'll look for cracks and crevices as such we have here. The total length of the crack is right about, I'll mark it right there. So I'll cut that off, that way eliminating that crack right there altogether. Now this is a dried piece of stick, so it's not going to continue to crack down this way. Now after I do that, I look at this end here, I'll put a mark right there and say that's where I'm going to figure on cutting it just to get it squared up. It's a good process to follow to make sure that you have a good solid stick all the way down. The next step of this process is the embellishment that goes on the top. I have a 1 1/4 inch compass that I'm going to embed in the top, but I want to embellish it a little bit rather than just drilling a hole and put it in there. So what I've done, I've got a wooden clamp here that I hold it to stabilize this half egg that I made, and it has a pine cone in it, and I turn it upside down and I'll drill a hole to recess the compass in. So let's go over to the drill press and get that done. I have a Forstner bit, but I have the tip cut out on it so it'll flatten off the bottom, and you can see right inside there. I got to take over my carving bench and sand that out, and then the compass will fit right on the top of it. So let's go over there and get that done. We'll just go in there and sand that down, ground down to where that little protrusion won't be there. So I think that sander will just knock that right off. Okay, I think that's all there is to it. Let me get that camera situated where you can see what I have. Now, what happened, I have a little bit of space around this. So what I'm going to do is put a drop of this in the bottom. That's going to hold it in there secure. And I'll put that there like that. We'll put a little accelerator on this surface. Well, what happens now when that hits, I'll have just a very little bit of time to get it centered up where I want it. I can see the channel all around that now, and that is dried as we speak of the accelerator hitting this CA glue. I use the black medium thick for a lot of stuff, but that is glued in there solid, so I can turn it over if I want. You see that little ring of crevice all around that? That's going to be filled with my CA glue, and that's like a super glue. That's really super. So I'm going to take a little bit of that, and I'll squeeze that around, hold it right up against there, and I'll fill that up. It'll take 2 or 3 times to get this filled like I want it, because it's going to fill that cavity up. This is mostly just to get a black ring all around this compass to make it look like it was just molded into it. And we get it kind of like we want it, or close, and then I'm going to spray a little bit of accelerator on it, and it will set up what we have there. This just, the rest of it evaporates. Okay, let's get it up and take a look at it now. After hitting it with that accelerator, it shows a black ring all the way around, and you have the end of a pine cone, and that's going to be sitting right on top of the stick. I have a 1-inch round, aggressive, cuts-all burr on the end of this thing. And what I do is let it grind a concave area right in the end of the stick, and that's where the resin ball will sit in. So let's get that started, and I believe you'll see what I'm talking about. Right there. Now you don't have to worry about doing the centers, get as center as possible, but we'll go around there a little bit. And what we're going to do is look at this stick and make this come out even with the walls as much as we can. Well, I've got that now pretty sharp all around that, and we'll see what it looks like when we get over there. In other words, that's a sharp edge all the way around the top, and you have it bellied out there. I don't know if you can see that or not, but that'll make that cup down in there, and it just looks like it's just laying on there. If you leave that too thick, you'll have to get some. You'll have to use a paracord nest or something in there to cover that crack up. So let's go over to the bench and see what that looks like. Now I want to point out something here. It looks like it sets in there pretty good all the way around. That would be permissible. We'll do a little sanding and sharpen that up. You see here now, we turn this over and drill us a pilot hole right down in that, and I'll show that to you. We've turned this over. Now I got a pilot hole in the bottom, as well as the compass on the top, but you turn it right over, and now you get the hole drilled in there, and that's the dowel that is going to go down in the end of the stick. Now I just put a little pilot hole in the end of this somewhere, and that's where the dowel pin is going to go down in, right there. And then I'll take the same drill that I used. This dowel pin's going to go in, and now I'll go in and hold this as flush as I can get it and straight, and just go straight down in there. Drill that out, and what you do is put this in there. Okay, now we're to the point. We have our hole drilled in here, and we have that laid out to where we know that the dowel pin is going to fit. We're already pre-fitted that to where our resin ball with the pine cone compass, all that is going to go right in there. But before we do that, we want to stain it, and we're going to finish it. So we'll get the stain on there now and let it dry a couple hours. So what I got now is just an old piece of one of my old t-shirts, and I'm going to dip it right in there and wipe down good with the stain. If a customer wants a dark cane, I use walnut. Otherwise, I use oak exclusively, almost. I don't know how you can be almost exclusively, but that's the way it is. And I'm not having a real heavy coat here, so that it does go ahead and dry out good. But that's some beautiful wood in the stick, as we'll see when we take a close look at it. I'm seeing it right now, and it's just awesome. This is going to be one of the more beautiful sticks that I've made, and it's due to what you get with the wood, and I can assume with about 90% accuracy that it is oak, but I wouldn't want to guarantee anybody that it is oak, But from the looks at it, we can pretty well judge, and it's just beautiful. I don't know if you can see that grain or not, but that grain all the way up and down, it just has a beautiful, beautiful grain, and it just stands out brilliantly, and it's going to make a beautiful walking stick. If I do say so myself, but let me know in the comment what you think about the grain. I just have to show you that one more time. Look at that. Look at that grain there. I don't know if that light's hitting it right or not, but anyway, let's leave it there and let it dry a couple hours now, and I'm going to go grab a bite to eat, and then we'll come back and put some finish on that, and then tomorrow we'll be able to finish that up. And tomorrow is Saturday, which means I'll have this for my Sunday video, and that'll make 2 weeks in a row that I've got back in the beat of getting the walking sticks out every week. Okay, now I'm going to show you a little something different about the way I finished some of these. And today I'm using Minwax polyacrylic paint. Have it open, I have it stirred. And I'm going to show you how I do it, which is a little non-traditional. I have a little eye hook on this end right here, and in my back room, drying room, I'll hang that from the ceiling and let it dry. But what I do first is get it rubbed on fairly thick and quick, if you want to say it that way. Make sure that it's covered, and you see, once I do this, I'll do this when I get it hung up. And that will be all. That will be all that's done to it. Let's get it all the way down. Beautiful grain showing there. No brush. Just an old rag that I have. And I'm making sure that I get it wet all the way down. You can rub it down with your rubber glove before it dries, and that eliminates any runs that you have. It still gives you a nice thin coat on there, and that's all we need. I'm gonna go back and hang it up now. While it's hanging there, I'll take that glove and go down it like this and let it dry. That's all we do. Now we grab our stick. As soon as we get our epoxy mixed up there, our 2-part epoxy, and I just stand this stick up that way, and I'll rake out a stick full of it and put it right up there on top. And I just scrape as much of it as I can get right up on that edge. But I will fill that little concave socket there, and I'll smear that glue all around the inside of that. Next, I'll take this piece here and just put it right down in that hole, and that'll push some of that epoxy out. You'll see it just come up around that. That's why you don't really want a tight fit in that either. Remember that. That's 1/4 inch dowel, and I use one size over that. But now, I want it just a little bit loose in there, so it gives me a little bit of play room. Press it right down on there, and you got it. And that's fine, right there. Now we're going to set that aside and let that dry, and then we'll be ready to put it in a little nest. A paracord nest is what I call it, and I have another video on how to make that, but we'll show that here in a minute. So far, it's coming out pretty good. So let's let this dry, and we'll get back, put the paracord wrap on it, and we'll see what it looks like. So we'll pull that knot up tight, and kind of stand back here, push it up this way, and then take your CA glue and put a little dab of it right there. That'll soak right in there and keep that from coming loose. You stand there a little bit, hold it, and it ain't going nowhere. Now we're going to turn it over, and you see it's kind of gapped open there a little bit. We'll push that up together. All it takes, push it up to where you don't see any wood in there, crack, and it's just the opposite side, and throw a little CA on it. Now, see right there where I tucked that in? Tucked it right under there. You can't see the end of it at all, and you don't want it to come out, so I put a little dab of that CA again, glue, right there, and that keeps it in there. Now we have that sitting down in there in this nice paracord, what we call a paracord nest. It looks like you have this tied onto the stick. What I like to do is burn the ends of these cords just a little bit to keep them from fraying again. And if you look real hard, you can find both ends easy enough. There's one that we just burnt right here, and it don't take long, and it just keeps that end from fraying a whole lot, and keeps it intact there. It's pretty hot, so you got to be careful when you touch it. Well, that's all it takes right there. Now to start out with, it's a little different knot than I use sometimes, and I like a little variation. So what I'm going to do here is just make me a loop, just like this. This is going to be, I want enough to run a wrist through. That ought to do it, and get about 3 inches sticking out here, and then your loop there. So let's try that, and take your finger and wrap around this. We'll wrap around 3 times. 1, 2, and then there's your third loop. We'll stick it right down in there. Now all you have to do is kind of pull that down and snug it up, and that will snug it up there a little bit, and that should be loose. Be careful and don't pull it back out. Now what I do before I do anything else, I burn that a little bit more to keep that from falling back through that loop. Now is when I let it melt and get kind of a little ball on the end of that. Now it won't pull back through there. So you got your slip knot right in there like you're starting to tie your shoe, and you're going to start it right there. And instead of going around this way, tying another knot, bring it over the top and bring it around, and bring your end, this end, back up through there, tie another knot in the opposite direction. We're going to pull that all through there this time, and hopefully there won't be no knot in it because I worked that out. I promise you, after you get this started, it will be easier. Now, we just brought that up through there, and it's, instead of this going around that way with another knot, you're just pulling that tight now. Pull tight on there. Use your thumb here, and you went between that like this, and you pull another knot. You pull that one tight. And then you overlap the top of that one, and when you go back under there, you're getting a hold of this string and pulling it back through the loop again. And I am getting these little instruments in the way, but you'll just pull it tight now, and it'll go back up. It'll find its place right up back to that knot. And now, this time, you run it through again, but you hold your thumb under it, reach in there and pull that little end all the way through again. And that, then when you pull it, make you another little knot, and that you'll be able to see it start spiraling around the stick pretty soon. And I'm going to push it, keep it back up on that knot a little bit. Okay, now that is right there. Now hold your thumb under that, reach under and get that knot, and reach in and pick it up, and you'll pull that all the way through there again. Okay, now let it tie. It'll just tie. The spiral will come out just where it wants to. If you get it tight, it'll only stop in one place. And that spiral is starting to come around this way where your knot comes out every time. The next one will come out here and here and here, and your stick will roll accordingly. Now when you get to that point, reach your thumb under here, reach under and get that, and then reach between it and get your other end and start pulling it through. And then here we go again. We're going to pull the whole loop through there again. And it gets easier as you go because your cord's getting shorter as you wrap. Now we want to tight that, snug that down tight. You want to say once you start it, it starts getting a little easier and don't look like such a mess. But I'll hold up my thumb under there, reach under there and get that, and then reach in with my fingers and get that other one and start pulling it through. Now if you watch this video, back it up and stop it or whatever you have to do while you're trying to do this. It'll make it, once you get the hang of it, it's very easy to do. And it's a nice looking, it looks like it's braided on there. Once you get it done, you'll have a nice spiral. It goes all the way around, and it'll look like it's round plus a spiral going around it. So now I'll take my thumb again, reach under here, and I'm just tying another knot in. It's what I'm doing, another slip knot. But that's just the way you get a hold of it. And you just wrap down as far as you want to go. And I'll keep on demonstrating that here for a while, and then we'll finish it up. Now look at that spiral. It goes right on down through there. We'll come and get this tightened up, and I'll show you how to do that in a minute. But you want to keep on going. There, this spiral is going right around with that knot. Now put your thumb in there again. Hold that up. Reach in there with these fingers and pull that through. Now you got your other one. And it's pretty fast once you, if you get a hold of the wrong cord there, it will try to jerk your thing off the table. And but it stays fairly tight once you do this. And where that knot stops is where your next wrap starts, and it works out very good. Reach under there, get a hold of that, and just pull that through. Pull that up, tighten that up again, and there we are. It's going right on down. Put my thumb in there, two fingers, reach in there and grab it, and go again. You have a loop, just a little pawl laying right there ready to come through. And once you work out how to get the tangles out of it, and then it makes it a lot easier. Yeah, let's move right along. And I start out with enough paracord here that I generally start out with about 20 foot. That way you stop when you want to, and you have a little, you don't run out. And it's a lot easier to cut a little off than it is to patch a little on because you didn't have enough to start with. We're about to end up with a nice, strong, and now I gauge that by my hand. I said, well, yeah, that's a pretty good grip right there right now. I'm going to take one in there for good measure, and then we're going to stop it right there. Okay, right in there. Now, what I like to do is tuck this up under there again, and the way we do that is just cut it off again, like I did on the other end. I cut that off, and I'm going to tuck it under running that way, so we want to cut enough of it off there to, and right. Okay, get the little screwdriver again, and I'm going to tuck it under itself, and we'll put a little CA glue on there to hold it. Now, if you look at that, don't have anything, you roll that around with that, come out and cut it off. You just tuck it, let's see if you can see that. You just tuck that right back up under that rope there, and you make sure it's tucked in real good. And I got a little fuzz showing right there. And then you take a little CA glue, and we'll put a little dab of CA right on that again. Push down on the stick a little bit. Now we'll turn our attention back up here at the top, and we see we got a hand cord here, and that is still a little bit loose. So I'll tighten this up, pull this down, snug that around just like that, and I'll take a little CA glue again, and I'll tighten that in there. Now that ain't coming apart there. Now what we can do, we got this loop way out here. We can tighten this around our arm without, this is slip knot here, and we can slide this up and down like so. Okay, we're ready to review and look and close this thing out. Well, I think that's about it for another stick. Now, I did a lot of sanding today. This shirt was put on right out of the clean clothes closet this morning, and they get pretty dusty, especially the black ones. So anyway, it was clean this morning, but it don't look it now. But anyway, we got another stick done. I want to kind of show you what it looks like. It's about 52 inches is about what it come out to be. And you have, see how that nice little spiral just goes all the way down that now? And if you look, I hope I've explained that enough to where you can tie one of these. And you get down at the end, you just tuck it under a little bit, put a little CA glue on it. That's wrapped nice and tight. And there's a good grip right there. And how it angles down just like this. And that'd be the front. That's just comfortable right there where it's at. And you gotta in the top of this now, you have a compass. And it's short enough where you can look down and you can see which direction, north and south or wherever you're going. I call them a directometer, direction meter, directometer. That's what they are. That's a compass, more commonly called, and it's right there embedded in that resin in the top. And that's a pine cone there. That's part of a pine cone underneath there, embedded in clear resin, so that don't look half bad. And I put a paracord nest, showed you how to do that, and we got the hand grip there, and that'll go on. That's adjustable. And I'll tell you, I want to show you now. I mentioned that earlier, but this oak grain really shows up nice. Look at the grain in that. That is nice all the way down, and it's just a beautiful grain. I hope the light hits it and does it justice as we go down through here. But that's a beautiful stick, and it would make anybody proud to show it off, I think. And right on down, look at that. Anyway, here's what it looks like in position. You're holding it right here, real comfortable grip. And also, for this height, kind of handy to rest your head on while you're thinking. But now, if you like this video, be sure and give me a thumbs up. And won't hurt if you haven't subscribed to any. I'd appreciate it. If you haven't done that yet, click that subscribe button down there. And in the meantime, I guess I'll see you in the next video.